Hey, welcome back to the Be Free Project podcast. I'm back with another interview from one of my amazing members inside the Be Free Inner Circle, and her name is Linda Mallory, and she has been in the community. Linda, can you believe this? Since May 31st of 2018.
Man, look at that.
That
Wow,
is
3 years,
bananas.
3 plus
Three
years.
years. Yes.
Hmm. Yep.
So welcome back to the Be Free Project podcast. I think
Thank you.
this is your third time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you're right. Yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes.
And so I wanted to bring you on to definitely have a conversation. And so about the Be Free Inner Circle, being a member, following my work and all of the jazz, just to give listeners another perspective of what your experiences have been as a member. And so the question that I'm starting out with asking everyone is just to share some of your wins that you've experienced since being in the Be Free Inner Circle. And let me say this up front. Do not be shy because I know you, right? So I want to hear about, and it's been 3 years. So 3 years
Yes.
of wins. I would love for you to share some of those wins that you've experienced since being in the community.
Oh wow, I love this question because this is not a strong spot for me, but
I
it's
know.
like, but just having a platform. Just want to thank you, Siobhan, for having me today for sure. I mean, it's been amazing, and I've been following you from years, and then just being on the podcast for the third time, which is so cool.
Mhm.
Lots of wins over the years. I was in your Facebook group before this, and then coming over to the community. But I would say, from the standpoint of the inner shift, I think was the biggest thing for me that I could actually do what I want to do. So,
Mhm.
meaning taking my blog to a publishing company. About a year after I joined the circle, I think you and I met kind of one on one and we talked about
Mhm.
some goals.
Yep.
And I was like, I want to help other people do what I did with my book. I'm like, how dare I try to be somebody's publisher or
Mhm,
self-publisher?
mhm,
I
mhm,
thought back then, like, I ain't gonna ever do this, right?
mhm.
But I did it, putting the steps in place, doing the work. And it came from just learning from you and then some of the other members in there that, wow, this is achievable. So I think just achieving that was like the biggest win. So October 2019, almost 2 years ago now, 2 plus years, I launched my publishing company. And that was huge.
That was
Just
huge.
going from my orange and pink blog. You remember that blog?
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes.
And then it was orange and pink, and now it's like, okay, now it's evolved. And just connecting with others and just the community aspect of it, that was huge for me. So that shift in the mind, I think the mindset shift too, not being afraid. I still, I think we all still struggle with some things. I know I don't toot my own horn enough, but I do try to talk about different wins and things that I've been able to do, not just helping others but helping myself. I read more. Look at that, the book club.
Yes, yes.
Wow. For those listening out there, if book club, I've read more in the last 3 years, probably I read my whole life. Just the books, the building of books, online books, Audible, and whoever else, other platforms, but also just getting books and being excited about that. So
Yeah.
reading more has made me a better writer, a better speaker. So I would say that's probably a double win combined. Yeah. And just, doing the work, really.
Yes,
Scared to do the work. Yeah, you're scared a little bit. You may have that little bit of fear, but a step takes you a long way. It wasn't built overnight. So
I agree.
yeah.
Well, I wrote down some of the wins that you did not mention.
Oh,
Listen,
I knew you had me over there.
Oh, I got you. So one of the things I remember when we were coaching one-on-one, one of the focuses that we had was setting boundaries. And I know that was a big deal for you. And the reason why I'm bringing that up, because sometimes we like to talk about our professional wins and our successes, but personally, like even setting a healthy boundary with the people that you're closest to, how they can't talk to you a certain kind of way, or there's a certain standard as it relates to being around you that, putting those boundaries in place. I know that was a big thing that I remember coaching with you with. Also, you participated in the walking challenge, and I know that was a big deal for you. And then also you started doing the island beats.
Island Beach Zumba.
And working
Yes.
out. You started working
Yes.
out.
Yes.
You've been buying workout clothes, which is a win. Look, I'm thinking about all the things that you share. And then a big thing that you didn't even mention, that this is a professional, well, two things. This is a professional one about how you're speaking more at the company that you work for as it relates to diversity and inclusion, which is a big deal that you've spoken to a mass amounts of people on this particular topic. And then you started a podcast. Am I frozen?
I think you got me with all those wins.
Did I was frozen. And then the podcast, did you hear that?
Podcast. Yes, the podcast. Yes, the Heart of Chat. Yes, the podcast. Oh yeah, that has been, Jeanette and Shauna have been super amazing. Known them for almost 6 years now, and we've just formed a bond and a friendship, and just on all those different levels, building something, bringing our kind of brands together. And it started off as like, oh, we're accountability partners. You know, did you do this today? Did you do that? Then it morphed into a mastermind group in early 2020, and we started from there. We were starting from a spreadsheet, you know, something that Jeanette created, but she's amazing at that. Shauna's amazing at all the ideas and the creativity. And I just like systems and processes. So it just works, you know, it just kind of works together. All the pieces are there. And then something that we created was July 6, 2020. We went live with our very first episode. So
so those are beautiful wins. Like if you just think, and I know 3 years is a lot of time. And one of the things I know that we are working on in the community is tooting your own horn and celebrating all of these amazing things that have happened in your life just in a short amount of time that I've known you. And it's been very interesting. You and several other ladies that I have interviewed, they started in the Facebook group. So when I'm thinking about the time, I was thinking about, okay, let me have women or members in the community who have been in the community for a year or greater. But then when we think about the Facebook group, I don't even know when I started that, but it was years and years ago. So to know that you've been doing the work and connected to my work for even a longer period of time than you've been in the Be Free Inner Circle, and then several other members were able to say the same thing. And then me being able to see like, man, I can see your confidence now. Like you're definitely more confident in yourself than in the beginning. I can see like all of the successes that you're having in your professional and your personal life. And for me on the outside looking in, I'm like, wow, look at Linda. Like I remember when the publishing company was just an idea and we coached through that. And I'm like, yo, like you booked out with the clients and everything. And on top of that, you got a full-time job and you got kids.
Yes.
So you're doing a darn thing, you know?
Thank you. The career aspect that, you know, I've been in my career 30 plus years now. So it's like, ooh, my kids are 20 and 13, you know, as of this recording, it's like, oh, I just can't believe it. But yeah, I think there's something that's kind of emerged over the last year or so is the diversity and inclusion initiatives that I'm a part of. So I lead a couple of efforts at work on a larger scale for those things. And, you know, it's not just black and white, but it's also just being inclusive from all aspects, different cultures, different styles of work. You know, everybody's not the A, B, C, D, E, F, G program or project manager. It's how these styles sort of come together. So I'm loving that space of being and doing that work too. It's very exciting. I like my project management stuff. I'm in the information technology field, which is pretty cool, but it's nice to have, you know, something else injected in there and being passionate about it. All to the background, and we think that's okay, but then there's something that is coming out of, I want to be seen, I want to be heard, but I don't know if I should be. And that's that should word that we talk about. Yeah. Well, you're doing amazing. So I love hearing the wins. And I know there's plenty more, but we'll move on to the next. And you, again, you're going to have to think back over time since you've been in the community for a while, but how did you know you needed support with doing the work? So if you go back to a space, and let's just go back 3 years ago, like how did you know you needed help, or excuse me, you needed support with doing your work on your own personal journey? I know it might not sound like it. All it says from outside looking in, people say, oh, you're so organized, you're so this, but I really needed that accountability. We have, schedule time for things. We also have to do our homework too. But knowing that somebody is checking for you and that you have that circle of people, so the inner circle, right? And you know that you're showing up for yourself. I think those were the three things that really, that's when I really knew that there was something happening internally that I wanted to get better and continue being better at. So whether it was publishing another book, that's great, but how can I, help other people do the same thing while helping myself? Because this process of building this publishing company has been really amazing. It's also been a lot of lessons learned because I want to keep getting better and improving, but I couldn't do that without the accountability, without someone, because all you have to do is speak up. And my dad used to say, a closed mouth don't get fed, right? And if you don't ask, you don't get. He had all these sayings that I've now adopted. So it's like, okay, I don't want to ask this question, but 10 other people are asking the same question. I can't tell you it's enough that I pop in the inner circle and there'll be either a post or a story or something. And I was like, whoa, I was thinking the same thing. I should have, so I've actually thanked some of the ladies and said, look, this same thing happened to me, and here's how they dealt with it. Maybe I've adopted some of that. So that's accountability in itself. And just looking at it that way. I know I needed it. I know that I needed to write stuff down. Even though I'm a writer, sometimes we're like our worst writers, because I'm a writer, and then I'm sitting here not writing nothing, but it was knowing that I had to also do the work, not just show up and like, okay, yeah, I'm here. I know I needed it. And it was,
And that's key, like knowing what you need, knowing that you can't do it alone, and then getting the accountability. Because to your point, many of us have all the ideas and we can tell everybody else what to do. But then when it comes to our own stuff, we're like, I didn't even write anything down today. But it's like, you need the accountability, you need the push to keep moving forward. And I read this quote by Iyanla Vanzant a couple of days ago, and she said, learn the lesson and move on. And I said, that is my new mantra. I literally just posted that in the community before we went live. And I'm like, yes, learn the lesson and move on. But what if you're not in a space where you can learn the lessons, right? So when people are not getting the accountability, or they're not doing their inner work, and they're not growing, like, how are you going to learn the lesson if you're just going through the rhythm of life and you're not doing your work, right? Or you're ignoring, or you're suppressing, or what have you.
Because you have to show up for yourself. And that's one thing I do love. The show up for you is like one of my favorite things about the community. And we get to talk about our wins. We get to talk about our stretch goals. We get to talk about all of those things. And I love that, because it's like somebody will throw out an idea and say, well, hey, have you thought about this? Or and maybe they might be a little shy about it, so they might private message you or whatever. But still, it's still, you putting it out there to the world. It may not be fully baked.
Oh, I think it froze a little bit. I didn't hear. I didn't catch the end of what you were saying, because I think it froze.
Yeah, I was saying that people see us, and they're like, oh, they have it all together. It's all pretty, and all the residual, but it's all this residual. Look at all the work and all of the blood, sweat, and tears that it took to get here. I think that was the point. Yeah.
And it's constant work. It doesn't stop.
It doesn't.
Like, soon as you get to one part and you do your work and you're like, okay, I'm good, something else will come up, and the work just starts over and over.
It does.
I want people to embrace that, like embrace the journey, and know that you're always going to be doing work on yourself. Like, it's just the nature of it. And we should be changing and evolving and growing and all of that. So ultimately you can be free and live the life that you want, but it does take work. It really does.
It does. It does.
So my next question for you is, what made you choose the Be Free Inner Circle as your place to do the work?
First thing is you, Siobhan, you, of course. I mean, you're so I've been following you for years, just the way that you show up and just the authenticity of the stuff that you write, but not only the stuff you write, you're just very well rounded, and you show up on video, you talk to your members, you show the work that you're doing, you have a book recommendation. I mean, just the whole picture of all of the work that you have done over the years, just, and you have shown up for yourself. So how do I expect to get there if I'm just kind of loafing around, right? But then leading by example, that's what I was getting to, just leading by the example. And that has really helped me. And I just being in alignment, everything from the affirmations to the workshops, the daily work, it's just things that resonated with me. I think one of the biggest things for me was that accountability. I mean, just doing those different things. I mean, you offer a variety of things over the years. And I think, I was like, wow, I could really use some group coaching. Maybe I need to do one-on-one, or maybe I need to do something else. Maybe it's a worksheet that I need. So just collecting, you just talking to me and inviting me here, which I'm honored to be here, just collecting that feedback, just your surveys, your newsletters. I mean, it's just a whole package, I think. And I think that's where a lot of the ladies could really benefit from. The resources are there. You just have to tap into them. And I know people are busy and we have all these things going on, but you have to make time for yourself, even if it's 20, 30 minutes a day to read something, write some, set a timer. I mean, that's something I started doing recently. I didn't used to set no timer. I was like, what's the Pomodoro method? What is that? All right, I guess I'll try it. And I'm thinking, I got it all together, but nobody has it all together.
That part.
So nobody has, no matter how it looks, I may show up smiling on IG every day. I don't have it all together. Maybe it's a timer that I need. Maybe I didn't finish editing somebody's book today, but maybe it's like, okay, get focused and try to stay as focused as you can. So I think that helps. The full package helps with that, and just being able to put that work in. You got to put that work in.
That part. And as I'm listening to you talk, I feel like you have experienced all of my work. I think you because you've been to an event, you've traveled to Cleveland, we've worked one-on-one, you're in the inner circle, like the journals, the affirmation cards, like you literally, you are probably one of few people that have consumed all of my work. And that is why we're having this conversation today, because doing the work works, right? And you are a beautiful example of what it looks like to do the work, because you have results, you have receipts. And when I just think about the friendships that you've made with Jeanette and Shauna, with connected through the Inner Circle, or Be Free Project, I'll say, because you guys were friends before that. And even when I think about, and I just lost my train of thought, but everything, I was thinking about the friendships, and then the podcast, and then, the publishing company, and like all of these different things. I'm like, I've watched you literally blossom over the years, and I don't get to, I don't get to see that all the time, but like when I think about you and like several other members that I've had on the podcast, I'm like, I've watched you I'm thinking about other members. Like I've watched you get married, you bought the house, you got the new practice. When I was talking to LaTanya a few days ago, and I'm like, I am a part of all of this. And that blows my mind that I get to observe it, and then I get to experience it with you, and then we get to celebrate. And that is something that I want to see for you do even more with the celebration, like definitely taking up space, and then celebrating all of these amazing wins that you're having,
Yeah, I know that's something I do need to work on. So anybody listening to this, it's like, you have all this stuff. Yay, wonderful. But it's like, how do you celebrate? And I'm like, blank stare, it's like, how do I celebrate? Sometimes I do. And a great cup of coffee. Yeah, it's a celebration, but it should be something like, I feel like it should be something bigger, grander, but I'm still doing the work in that space. I have to say about
and I will say, we are going to keep having conversations about that inside the Inner Circle, Be Free Inner Circle, because there's many members that, I'm still working on it myself. I'm like, okay, we just had this win. How do we celebrate? What do we do? And it doesn't all, I talk about this in the Inner Circle, like it doesn't always have to be spending money on something, but acknowledging, taking a moment to say, I just did this amazing things. Let me share this with my friends. Let me talk about it. If you want to treat yourself to an extra cup of coffee or what have you, but just taking time to celebrate these beautiful moments is very, very, very important.
Yes, it is.
My next question is, what is your favorite feature about the Be Free Inner Circle? Whether it's the weekly live chats, daily inspiration, the community support, our intimate teams, small groups, guest speakers, book club, the directory, like what would you say is your favorite feature about the community?
Oh, I mentioned it earlier about the book club. I
Oh
love
yeah.
the book club because it's
Mhm.
holding me accountable to read more. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm not gonna
Mhm.
show up. And sometimes, I mean, it's been a couple times where I didn't
Yeah.
finish the book, but I
Yeah,
got the
yeah,
gist.
yes.
I got the
Mhm.
gist of
Mhm.
got the gist. That's my favorite because we've read a variety of books.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, summertime is usually reserved for our fiction books. That's
Mhm.
been fun. We
Mhm.
do like other kinds of books, personal development, self-help, some
Mhm.
other things, but I mean, just the inspired conversation and then hearing the
Yes.
stories from the
Yeah.
ladies, that's like my favorite. I love that.
Mhm.
Love,
You
love, love that. I would say followed by Show Up For You.
Mhm.
That's another good one.
Mhm.
Really like that. And the teams. That was like, I know that's fairly
Mhm. Mhm.
new-ish. And
Mhm.
I love the teams.
Me
There's,
too.
we have well-rounded conversations. So yeah, it's self-help, it's personal development, but it's also we have a plants. I'm looking at my plants over here. We have a
Mhm.
plants
Mhm. Mhm.
team.
Mhm.
And my favorite. You know what I'm gonna say, Siobhan.
TV shows, movies,
Yes.
and music. Yes,
Yes,
I already
the
know.
TV
Yes,
shows. And
yes.
just when I recommended something recently and one of the members came back and she said, that was really good. You give the bomb recommendations. That just made my day.
Ah,
Now, I
yes.
did celebrate on that, I have to say.
Yay!
I
I
was
love it.
celebrating
I love
because
it.
that to me, I mean, yeah, you have to feed your soul with, and
Mhm.
be well-rounded. I was just having fun. It was a long week and I was like, oh, I think I'm going to watch this thing on Netflix. And it was really, really good. And I
Mm.
felt inspired to share. I was like,
Yeah.
now I have to check this out. So
Mhm.
those are like my top three, and
Yeah.
just, listening to and seeing the ladies and them doing the work as well. So yeah.
Yeah. And we do the book club together, which I love.
Yes.
That we, and I love how you said, like, even just hearing the other members who come to the book club or the book chat, hearing their stories, because it
Mhm.
always pulls out something with our discussion questions. And I too love the book clubs. And I'm excited as we're going to start that back in 2022, which is crazy, 2022.
I know.
Um, but like having these in-depth conversations. And I love, like, to your point, we've read a wide selection of books, and all of
Mhm.
them, I feel like, has elevated us to another level, like just in the information, the knowledge that we get from it, and just the connection just from participating in the book club.
Yeah.
And then so many women have mentioned, so many members that I have interviewed on here, they mentioned the weekly live chats like you did. You said the Show Up For You,
Mhm.
which is now called the accountability chat. Where the weekly live chats is what they enjoy most. And it makes sense because we get to connect with each other via Zoom and see each other faces, hear what you have to share. And I believe that's how a lot of friendships are being made. The more you come to the live events, whether it's one per month or every single one of them, you're able to engage with other members. And then the teams, I enjoy the teams too, because even I was on Instagram, and I think you laughed at it because I posted the one, the cover of Drake's new album, and
Yes.
someone had made one with all the plants. I'm like, oh, I gotta put this in the plant too.
Yes.
So
Hilarious.
I love, like, to your point, it's very well rounded. Like, yes, the community is to do your personal growth work and to find your forever friends, but we also have light conversations around TV shows and sharing your favorite plants and things like that, which I think makes it like this one-stop shop, if you will, of all things
Mhm.
positivity, where you just want to be in there engaging with everyone. So I love that.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Yeah. So what's one reason that you feel other women need to join the Be Free Inner Circle?
I would say connecting with women who are like you, maybe, but maybe not like you, right? So I think it goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe someone has a strength that you don't have, and maybe you bring something to the table. So if I'm a person that hasn't joined the inner circle just yet, think about your gifts and what you're bringing. I would say that because I would say not may, but you will find someone in there that could complement you and could complement the way you grow. Maybe someone's growth is really super fast, but you're like, oh wow, I see her confidence, I see what she's doing. Maybe these are some of the steps I could take to get there. Not the exact roadmap,
Mm-hmm.
but it could be, just the steps in between that make sense for you. And just seeing other people, just being around positivity and seeing other people doing the work, I think that matters too. So I think that would be my answer on that. It's just really, digging. It calls some of the questions, some of the conversations that we have really calls us to dig deep. and it, you know, you may be able to help somebody. Maybe you're in your profession, you're something, right? Or maybe you're trying to aspire to be something that somebody is, and that connection can help you get there. So I like that. I like that part of it.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the things I do love about the Be Free Inner Circle, specifically being women of color, that's very important, because we need spaces for us. But then also that is intergenerational, right? So you have women in their late 20s, early 30s, all the way up to women in their 60s and everything in between. And so there's space for all of us to learn and grow. It's not about your age, you know, or anything like that. It's like, oh, I have a strength. This is what I can bring to the table. Whether you know what your strength is right now or not, to your point, there's a gift that you have that could be beneficial to someone else, and you can definitely learn from other members in the community. And I love that. And how everyone is very forthcoming. Like there's no holding back. It's like, here's a resource that I have, here's some support, here's my story. You know, people are being more transparent, more vulnerable, which I really, really appreciate, because I feel like we, specifically as women of color, need spaces like that, specifically as Black women, but in general, women of color, you know?
Yes, I agree. And sometimes it takes a little while because we're not in familiar spaces, especially I work in corporate still. And that's where the field that I'm in is not a lot of Black females. So it's like, you know, you kind of looking around. Is it safe to speak up? Is it safe to be here? So-and-so could speak up, but if I do it, it's looked at differently. So having that harmony in your life, yes, you have to go to work, you show up, you're in corporate, you may like what you do, but having a safer space to be able to let your hair down a little bit, something you can talk about with other people. Maybe I know there are a couple of ladies in the community who do what I do in IT project management. So maybe there's conversation around that, or they're in corporate, they're working I call it the 8 to 8. It used to be the 9 to 5, but now we're in this Zoom world. It's 8 to 8, you know, that's just the way it is at this point. But maybe there's someone else that is having that same thing and just being able to relate to them, and you help each other. I think.
And it's a lot of helping of one another in the community. And then also when I think about, you know, and I've been talking about this on several of the other interviews as it relates to building friendships. So, and that's something that it wasn't a question that I sent you, but I do want to talk about, because you and you, Shauna and Jeanette have built like an amazing friendship, right? But then you've also built friendships with other women in the community. So how important has that been for you as it relates to your personal growth journey with making these connections with other Black
really
women? You know?
Yeah, it's been really good. I've made some, we text each other, like I've made some really, and I live in Maryland. These are ladies that are in other states. Like we met in the inner circle, we started talking, and I think it came from the walking challenge, I believe it was, when we started holding each other accountable. And I think someone posted in there, who has a Fitbit or who has an Apple Watch. That's where it started. And that was so cool. And I got a few of the ladies' phone numbers, and they took my number. We synced up on our watches. We started, you know, watching what we were doing as far as walking, as far as water intake. And then really, this has been probably about 6 months ago or so. But since then, I've just built some really good friendships in there. Like there's one member who we text every Monday to say, hey, have a good week. You know, what are you up to this week? Anything going on? So that it's cool. And she texted me yesterday. Yesterday was Monday. You know, I don't know when this is airing, but at that point, just think about your Mondays. And then look at, okay, wow. So you got a text on a Monday, maybe it's a Friday. We DM each other. We may have each other's cell phone numbers, but that was pretty important, just from getting to know other ladies from their perspective. I found out some of them are like close to my age. And we talked about age earlier. And so this growth work, and I don't want to say it started late, because it's like you start, you know, it's never too late. That part. So I was 41 when I started my orange and pink blog that so that was some years ago. So I'm turning 50 in January 2022. So it's like, wow, people are like, oh, okay, really? You turned 50? Yes. And so you look at, like you said, the members that are younger, some that are, you know, mid 30-ish to early 40s, and then we have members in the 60s. So it's really not about the age. It's really about how you feel about yourself. That I feel like, and this is some days, I feel more energetic now than probably I did 8 years ago. Maybe because I've been doing the work a little bit, but it does catch up to me sometimes. I'm like, ooh, I need to go to bed. But look what I've done. I'm doing all these things. That's the thing. So it's that it just gives you a different spark of energy.
Yeah. And that I love that you said about you started this work 8 years ago, but feeling more energized now. Cause that's me. I feel very young, very, very young. Like, and I feel like there's this fire and this zeal that I have that when I was just going through the motions, it was like, I felt drained and burned out. But now doing this purpose driven work that I'm doing and the way that I'm doing it at my own pace, I have like I know without any question that I'm truly living life and I'm free, you know? And it takes a lot of work to get there. And that's why I'm grateful for being able to be a part of your journey and many other women where, like doing the work, it works. And to know that you've been doing it for so basically 9 years, right? Because you said, doing the work for basically 9 years and all of the fruit that you are harvesting. Is that the way to say it? Harvesting? From that, just taking that one step forward. And that's it, and that's our manifesto, right? Taking one step forward every single day. So I love that.
I love it. Just about the fitness challenge is the other thing I wanted to bring up. So because I wasn't trying to be on nobody's gym, so that's what I'm talking about when I say it's well-roundedness in the community. I'm like, ooh, this fitness post, I'd run from that. But then the pandemic hit and we were all at home. I was like, oh Lord, what am I gonna do? I'm like, I ain't going outside because I don't know what's out there. And it was Shauna that said, you should try Island Beats. I'm like, really? It's on Zoom. Oh, I'm scared. I can't dance. I don't want anybody to see me dance, right? So now here we are a year and a half later, and I've been pretty consistent like every Saturday on there, and I absolutely love it. Like I try not to miss. I even bought new workout clothes. You would see me. I was probably one of the people did not post in the fitness thread. I didn't start posting it a year ago.
Remember your workout was taking the trash cans to the front lawn? Remember?
I think I said that in the community. I was like, yep, that's my workout. And now I've got Zumba wear and all the things. I'm like, oh no, I've got to, this is, oh no, Saturday. Sorry, I can't be there before 11, y'all. I got to work out on Saturday mornings. So that is huge for me. Yeah,
that is huge. And I also love something I want to touch on, how there's a community within the community. Because when we had our walking challenge, I think that was back in March, if I'm not mistaken. And I did see the post in the community where someone was asking about Fitbits and Apple Watches to keep the challenge going. So to know that there's a community within the community of the Be Free Inner Circle where women have got together to keep holding each other accountable, that means the work that I'm doing is amazing, because that's what I want. I want you ladies at the end of the day to build friendships and relationships with other women, to keep doing your work. And everybody's work looks completely different, whether you're working on your finances, your career, your spirituality, like physical, like all social, all of the things, like everyone's path looks very different, but there's space for everyone to grow, and I love that. I love that so much. Because somebody mentioned like, oh yeah, we started a walking challenge. I'm like, I don't even need to know who's in the community. I just think it's dope that y'all doing it. And it's amazing. I love, love, love it. And so my last question for you is, what would you say to the woman who says she can't afford the Be Free Inner Circle?
Wow. So this is a phrase that I've been hearing a lot of. We make time and spend money on the things we want to spend it on. What better use of your funds and your money is to be better suited for yourself? What's better than that? It's that simple. Like, what is better than you? You could spend it on hair, nails, and cars and all that kind of stuff. But what is a better investment than in yourself? I mean, that's what I would say. The investment in you, it yields, positive results. I mean, whether you come into, maybe you're not like, maybe you're like me, you're like, I ain't doing that fitness stuff, but you're over here doing the accountability chat, or you're showing up in some other way. And maybe you have to show up in order to grow. I had to do it. I wasn't doing no fitness stuff for like 2 years, so I had to grow to do it. So you have to invest in yourself. I mean, I had a conversation with somebody recently about that. Invest in you. Just, take the steps. It's okay to get your hair and nails done. I think we all do it. It's cool and all. But, if your insides are anxious and you're not, feeling that quite right, or maybe you are going through a shift and you need some guidance or you need some accountability to kind of pull you along, just take the step. It's so important that and I didn't learn that till later, in life, just because I was running that rat race so much, climbing the corporate ladder, doing all the things. And then finally I said, for years, I said, I'm going to write a book. And I was like, okay, am I really going to do this? I said, I'm going to start this blog. And I just, one day I was on my phone, I saw this little orange and pink template and I started the blog. Okay. So yeah, sometimes it just takes that step.
And so many things have unfolded from that orange and pink blog.
Yes. I think I still have a screenshot of it. I think I buried it. On the internet, nothing goes away. Probably still out there. So don't go looking for that, y'all.
That is so funny because I remember my very first logo. Do you remember my first logo since you've been following?
I know I might still have.
You probably do, like an email or something. But I remember my very first logo, and when I look at it now, and my husband had designed it for me at the time, and I'm like, and I was when I started my company, I was on Tumblr. So I had a Tumblr page and I had and I'm like, oh, you've grown so much over the years, Siobhan. So I understand what you mean by that orange and pink blog.
I was on Blogspot. I mean,
I remember Blogspot. Oh, you're going way back. But that's the beauty of growth. And so to your point, you've said it a few times, like you just have to take the step. Because what if you never took that step 9 years ago? You wouldn't be where you're at today. And what you've been doing is like, okay, that was the start of something, and you've just been taking a step forward every single day. And even whether you know which way to go or not, like you just keep showing up for yourself. Like, and even when I think about you now being able to do things on the back end of your website.
Yeah, I know. I can spell website, but that was about it. Right. Yeah.
So when I think about the growth, I'm like, man, it's truly, truly, truly an honor for me to watch and be a part of. I just absolutely love it. You're welcome. Are there any final words that you would like to say to everyone listening before we log off?
Oh, yeah. So just for the ladies out here, our listeners, I can't say this enough about investing in you. You are your best asset. And if you don't show up for you, who else will? I mean, you have to take the step, take the time to do the work, put the time in, maybe shift some things, and also ask for help. Something I'm still working on. If you need, help, it's like, okay, I got the kids running around. I don't know if I can be on all the calls. I don't know if I can do all these. Nobody's saying you have to come in and do it all. I know we've said a lot here, teams and fitness and all of that. I certainly didn't come in doing it all. I had to graduate to the different levels to do the things, and you kind of glom on to the things that resonate with you most, but also making sure that you're still growing and shifting in a positive direction.
I love that. And I love that. And in closing, to your point, like everybody doesn't have to show up for everything, but even just knowing that you have a space to go to, like that in itself, knowing that you have a safe space that you can go to where you can be transparent, or you can get the resources and get the accountability that you need. That's enough in itself, right? Versus if you don't have the friendship group, and you definitely don't want to just be sharing any and everything on Instagram and Facebook, right? Like we do really deep work. We really do. And the results are here where you can see so much growth for the women who have been in the community for a significant amount of time. And there's women who have been in there for a few months and they get in there and they're on fire. But I understand that there is specifically for Black women, women of color, that it takes us time just to trust, right? It takes us just to trust the space, trust the other women. So it does take time. So that's why I specifically wanted to have conversations with members who have been in the community for a year or greater, because they've given it the time. And once you do that, so many beautiful things are going to happen, because to your point that you said a couple of times, is that you're investing in yourself. You're your greatest asset. So show up. So I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will link to your website and all the things so people can connect with you after they listen to the episode. And it's been an honor. It's always an honor talking to you. So thank you. And until next time, girl, be free.